Welcome your host, Caddy Frink, as she leads discussions about substance use disorder and the journey to recovery. You're listening to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution.
Well, good day, all of you listening out there in Radio Land. This is Caddy Frink at Minnesota Recovery Connection with our show, Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution. I have got a brand new guest I barely know sitting in front of me. His name is Josuhua Fuss, and I'm going to welcome him, let him speak with his voice. Say hello to the people.
Hello, everybody.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Listen to that nice radio voice. I love it. That's like serious going on there. So as you all know, here on Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution, we like to open up with a question, and then Joshua will ask me the same question. So I'm going to ask Joshua, what is right with you today, my friend?
You know, driving over here, I've been working really hard.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, and sometimes I get lost in, giving myself grace, and I kind of like worry and get concerned and everything like that. Driving over here to actually come meet with you, I realized the steps that we've taken. And so I think being here has given me a little bit more of a confidence in the things that I've done. Not only me, but my organization and the other two founders that have put in the work to put this.
And what is the name of your organization, my friend?
Just Hope.
Wow, that sounds great. Now ask me, what's right with me?
What's right with you?
So what's right with me today is that I get to be in front of a brand new person who I sort of kind of a little bit know, because when we make these connections with our communities, it makes me grateful. But what I'm grateful today is that the weather is beautiful.
Absolutely.
And that every day I am grateful that I get to be in recovery. I'll recant a conversation I had with somebody just a while ago about how grateful I'm in the space that I am, that I just get to be present for other people. I have no preconception. I'm sure you don't either at your organization. Just like, show up.
Yep.
What do you need? How do you want to do that? So I'm just really grateful that the work that I do, it's my passion. This radio, just so you know, this radio show was a dream of mine like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. They actually had a file upstairs on me that was probably more like 15 years ago that I proposed it. I know.
Great.
Yeah, it was like one of those things. So in being able to do this, and bringing recovery out to like a broader audience, so to speak. So with that being said, I want to thank you to all of our listeners. We have some foundations that have been really the beginning folks. We've sunsetted some of these donations, some of these funders that we've had, Amy Butler Foundation, Patrick and Amy Butler Foundation, and the Otto Bremer, and the Sauer Family Foundation, the Hardenberg Foundation. And then there are other contributors that have come to us. But we did a reach out to the community for support, and we really have been getting some recognition about the importance of this show. So I just want to say thank you to those. And you listeners out there, we can't do this without you. So it is super, super important. So Joshua, before we take a break, we've got like about 5 minutes. Give us a snapshot of who you are and what is your recovery journey. And then we're going to talk more about your organization and where it all sort of came to be. So tell us a little bit about you.
So I am a person who's in long-term recovery. I just celebrated 6 years back in February.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Yes. And I'm coming up on 6 years free from incarceration.
Nice.
The recovery was a big thing, but me not being incarcerated is a lot bigger for me.
Yeah.
I have been going in and out of incarceration and involved with the justice system since the age of 12.
Wow.
Where I started on truancy, and then it snowballed into drug court as a youth, and then EJJ, and then probation.
What's EJJ for the rest of us?
Extended juvenile jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you.
And so
you just educated me on a little bit of stuff.
So I was doing things that they felt like they wanted to kind of extend it out to keep tabs on me.
Yeah, kind of like keep a little finger on your shoulder right there.
Yeah. So I was a frequent flyer with the justice system. I had a 2-week period when I turned 18 that I was free, and within those 2 weeks, I racked up 4 minor consumptions and an assault on a police officer. I had thrown in. I thought I was funny and throwing an alcohol bottle at a cop car.
Well, it probably wasn't your best idea at that moment.
No, not at all.
That 2 weeks it just kind of, it got eaten up real fast.
And so they put me on adult probation, and from that moment I had been on adult probation or parole. I have given 10 years of incarceration to the DOC. And so I come from a family where it's a generational cycle of going in and out of prison. My father had gone to prison. My uncles had gone to prison. And, so it was, I had started to believe that it was in my DNA and my destiny just to either die from using drugs or be in prison for the rest of my life.
Isn't it interesting? It's so interesting that you say that, because when you have a family system that is the only thing you know, like you said, it sort of becomes like this learned behavior, right? Yep. And it's evident as you're sitting in front of me 6 years without a whole lot of different stuff going on. It doesn't have to be, but it is an intention to break that cycle, isn't it?
It is. And that was normal, right? And so anybody who was like holding a job and doing anything outside of that bubble that I grew up in, like that wasn't normal. So me doing what I was doing was normal. It was just the hand I was dealt. It's the way that we operated. When I went to prison, it was like earning stripes.
Wow.
And so, fast forward to 2019. So February 11th, I got picked up. 2019. So February 12th is my clean date.
Okay.
And, through a series of different freak events.
Okay. Well, do we like freak events or we don't like freak events, whatever that looks like?
Yeah, so through a series of freak events, my court date kept getting pushed out and pushed out and pushed out. At the time, I had 7 felony convictions. I was a guaranteed prison commit. They don't give anybody a chance to go home with that many points. And so they kept getting pushed out. And then September 5th, my birthday.
Oh, wow.
I walked around the corner into booking, and my father was being booked in.
Oh,
and
ouch.
In that moment, the light switch went off, and I realized if I didn't figure this out and I didn't change my life, there was a chance my children were going to end up in the same position. And from that moment, I dedicated myself to changing what I was doing in order, not only for myself, but for the sake of my children. They needed to see that there was a better way.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I can't even imagine. There you are going in to give yourself to the DOC, and there's your father. That would have to be a moment that literally it changed your life.
It did.
I was going to use a bad word. I was going to just say things that aren't appropriate. That's just a lot. That's a lot. Well, congratulations on that day being the importance of that day. Wow. So we only have about a minute before we take our first break. So give us just a little chunk from that moment forward. What did you do different when you saw your dad? There you are. You're stepping in. What happened then?
I started to take things a lot seriously. I'd already been doing programming. There was an inkling that I wanted to change while I was in the Dakota County Jail. I was in their IMC unit, Inmates Motivated to Change, which was a unit for individuals who were trying to make some sort of change. And I knew there was something there. Then I saw my father. Then I knew. And then the nail in the coffin came on my sentencing date when my attorney was like, "What do you want?" And I said, "Well, of course I want to go home." And he said, "You're not going home. You're a guaranteed prison commit."
Right.
And when they brought me in, the judge and the prosecutor who was trying to lock me up said there's no reason we shouldn't let him go home after everything I had done. And so for me, that was a God moment where it was like, hey, you've done real things. Now's your chance to actually put everything you learned into effect. And that's what I did. Within a month that I had gotten out, I was in treatment. I had enrolled in college. I had found myself a job. And I dedicated myself to nonstop working to try to
get better.
Yeah, to build this foundation. The mother of my children gave me a 2-year mark. I wanted to see for 2 years. You're not going back.
Wow.
And
you know what? I'm going to just pause you. I'm on the edge of my seat with this story. We're going to take our first break. Thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, a Recovery Revolution. We have Joshua Fuss, and he's with Just Hope. And come back and listen to more of this intriguing story and the magic that he does for the community. Here we are. We're going to continue this incredible conversation with Joshua Fuss from Just Hope. Just Hope Recovery? Just Hope. It's an organization in St. Paul that helps people that are struggling with substance use disorder, a lot of outreach, a lot of different things. But we were on the edge of our seats, and you were beginning to put together all the pieces of the puzzle of the extra work that you were doing. And just so you know, I've done a lot of trainings in the Department of Corrections and doing training for probably 100, I think we're up to 150 men who are in prisons all through the Minnesota system. So when I hear you talking about the different programs that you can get involved in, I'm lucky enough to meet a lot of those guys. And I'm glad I'm meeting you on this side, but I imagine you would have been in one of those classes because you put all that stuff that they have available into practice. So continue where that came. So you were talking about the mother of your children.
Yeah.
Where did that? Yeah, pick us up where you left off.
So, the mother of my children and I, started a relationship when we were, still in active use. She's also in recovery. She's sober.
Yay!
Yes. So she got sober first. We had our kids taken a couple times, from CPS, and she got sober first. Then I came out, and so she was like, hey, I want you to prove, because I'd been so inconsistent coming in and out of my children's life, that she wanted to know, like, this was real. I'd always said, like, this is the last time.
This is the last time. This is the last time.
This is it. And, even though I didn't mean it, I was a drug addict. I had this disease that was continuously it
owned you.
It owned me.
Yeah.
Right. No matter how much work I put in, I would demolish it, within days.
Well, and I think that goes back to some of that learned behavior that you have, that you just saw this inconsistent or consistently inconsistent pattern with your family members and the people that were around you to not be using substances and not be involved with crime in the justice system was like not normal. Yep. So there was probably in the way back of your brain, I want to get better. I want to see the kids. I want to be with my lady. Yep. But you didn't have the tools, I would imagine. And each time you came out, I want to do better, even though I don't know if I want to do better, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
Would that be accurate?
That's pretty much, what it was is I didn't know how. I didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to not operate in the criminal lifestyle and the addict lifestyle.
Yeah.
So when I came out and, I started going into college, doing treatment, holding a job, I moved out into my own place.
Sweet. Look at you. Amazing.
And so
this is all in what year? I'm curious.
This was all in 2020.
So during COVID, you're achieving all
yes.
these goals. People, listen to that. That's amazing, Joshua.
Yes. So I'd go to sleep at 3 a.m. after working, doing my homework, studying, and then I'd get up at 6 a.m. ready for treatment, and I just had that drive. Now, that only takes you so far because I really didn't work on my actual recovery. I thought doing all these things and replacing them was going to be enough. And so at 2 years, I knew I wasn't going to use.
Right.
But I started to have suicidal ideation, right? Because I was still miserable. And I'm like, I'm at 2 years. What's going on?
Why is this not working?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I'm like, well, you're not going to use drugs anymore, so you might as well just take yourself out.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I found...
What a big step.
Yes.
Really. That's... So I think what I want to just pull out for a second, that's the misery that a person can feel, right?
Yep.
You're not using your substances. You're not going to go back because you kind of know what that looks like. Yep. But then you haven't worked on that person, that hurt person inside, and that person that wants to be better, but the toolkit is still a little bit light, right? And so there you are thinking it's better to leave than continue. So I say these things and I kind of reiterate it because there are people listening to this show that either might feel like that. So thank you for having that vulnerability. But then there are people who have those that they love that somehow that's where somebody feels like that's the only place they know how to take away the pain.
Yeah.
And that sounds like where you were. You were doing all these right things. You're bringing in all this great education and all these things. And then you're still feeling miserable. So then what happened?
So I hadn't been working on myself, right? I had a hard time acknowledging my mental health. Right? I felt that it made me defective. Not all the other stuff that I had going on, not the addiction and not my criminal history. It was my mental health that made me defective. And so I wasn't taking medication, and I wasn't seeing a therapist, and I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And then I had also not worked on that spiritual part. I hadn't worked on the inside.
Right.
And
You're just taking care of that. The outside. You're doing all the right things.
And so then I met a man. I utilized 12-step support groups. And so I met a man who became my sponsor.
Nice.
And I was so miserable that I'm like, either I work the steps or I'm going to die.
Okay.
So I worked
let's go with the steps.
Yeah.
It seems like a much better option.
And so I worked the steps, and when I got to my fifth and we started going through it.
Remind people what the fifth step is.
So the fifth step is when you go over your fearless and moral inventory with somebody else.
Right.
You know?
So talk it out loud,
Yep.
right? Those things that are deep inside you.
Yes. And so going through it, I realized there were some things that I hadn't dealt with from the past, and I had also been blaming everybody else for decisions that I had made. Right. And we came to a point where I had to talk about sexual abuse that I had experienced at the age of 14.
Okay.
And my sponsor told me, he said, you got to make amends for that. And at first I was upset. And he goes, no. He goes, you didn't get help, and you dragged that through your entire life and destroyed anybody you came in contact with.
Right.
And he said, you need to get help.
Nice.
And I realized, like, no matter what had happened to me in my past, and no matter who my parents were and what I was taught, I made decisions, and I now have the decision to change my life and how I think and view the world, and that's exactly what I did. And so moving forward from there, I started to take ownership for my actions, started talking about things. I got on medication. You know, I started acknowledging my mental health. I started talking to other people about my mental health.
You know, it's interesting. I think there's a lot of people that forget that this I call it is it the chicken or the egg? Is it the mental health or is it the addiction? And maybe the addiction to the lifestyle, the criminal lifestyle, because that was all that you knew. So for you to all of a sudden have somebody say, kind of wake up and say, you've got to deal with this pain and the mental health issues. There's a lot of people that just think that, like you just said, it's like, I didn't want to worry about that. I didn't want to think that that was part of the problem. I don't want to acknowledge that. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that could be how you grew up, a cultural aspect. It could be perceived as a weakness. And then when somebody finally says to you, you know what, you had this terrible experience as a young man, that is going to have an incredible outcome and a reaction to not dealing with it. So congratulations on you. But I think it's so important for a man particularly to say, hey, mental health it's okay to acknowledge because it's something. It's there.
It saved my life.
Yeah.
Like realizing it. And you know what's funny is once in a while, I try to make the decision to go off my medication because I'm like, I got this and everything. And I remember one time I did it. And my wife was like, you're off your meds, aren't you? And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not. Like, you could tell.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, I guess I need to stay on the medication because I think I'm good. But other people on the outside can tell, like, you're not okay.
Right.
Clearly you're not taking your meds. Take your meds.
Right. And it's one of those things where it's that battle that happens where you feel better. You feel like you've got it all going on. Yeah. I have a couple of people in my life that have been on the wrong medications too.
Yeah.
You know, a medication that doesn't work well. And I'm very quick to always say, let's try something else before you just go off because we need to transition many times because not every medication works for everybody. Yeah. So continue, please.
I forget that it's the medication that makes me feel better.
Right. Rather than you're just fabulous and wonderful and you got all of your stuff together, right?
Yeah. And so even saying that, going off the meds, thinking I'm okay, that just shows I still make rash decisions, you know, that and could potentially be damaging.
Right.
So, you know, I worked the steps, I started pushing forward, and then I got the opportunity to work in my first SUD treatment center.
Substance use disorder treatment?
Yep. And so I was hired on as their housing and marketing director. So I got my first taste of working with individuals in that field. And at the time, I was going to school for software engineering. My criminal history, I had assumed, was going to keep me from being able to, work in that field. And so I got my first chance, and I immediately switched my major. And I knew, I was like, this is what I'm going to do.
I want to work with people with problems versus inanimate objects,
yeah.
right?
And so after my employment ran out there, I went and worked for as a peer recovery specialist for another organization that's no longer around. Yes. I worked as a peer recovery specialist. I actually worked at the majority of the Valhallas.
Okay. Yep.
BHG in the Twin Cities.
BHG.
Yeah, Behavioral Health Group.
Yep. See, I always try to bust people out on acronyms because the rest of the world doesn't know what they are.
So,
Thank you.
And at the time, I had never really. So, I was 100% abstinent based. If you weren't abstinent 100%, you weren't sober. That was my mindset.
Yeah.
And God once again stepped in and was like, okay. And that's where I got placed first. And I started to see the struggle and the suffering that individuals were going through from opiates, and that there was a need for people to find harm reduction and other pathways to stay sober.
Yeah,
right.
And I think I really appreciate you sort of understanding that it takes a mind switch to go from abstinence is everything. That's what we got to do. It's the only thing we believe in. 'Cause that's one way you can do it.
Yep.
But then, as you said, we see the people that are suffering and struggling. They just can't pull that off. So then what do we do?
Yeah.
Which is, I think, where Just Hope came in.
Yes.
Tell us.
So after learning everything that I had learned, right, I had worked as a business development manager for another clinic, and Just Hope started. So one of the founders called me and said, "Hey, I got a friend who has this place that he wants to turn into a sober home." And so I went out there, and it was actually an old veterinarian clinic, and I'm like, "Well, you can't turn this into a sober home." And I saw the offices. Now I knew what recovery community organizations were. I had worked with a few people at my previous jobs in partnership at them, and I had jokingly been like, "We should start an RCO," and he's like, "What's that?" And I explained it to him, and we kind of left it at that. And on the drive home, I'm like, that'd be a good idea. So I went home and I filed the paperwork with the government. So I applied for our 501c3, and I started filling out all the necessary paperwork. And
this is a go-getter, y'all. This is a go-getter. Joshua here is a go-getter. He's like, I think I got an idea. Let's file the paperwork.
Yep.
Bam, done.
And so the next time that I saw him, I told him, I was like, "Hey, I filed the paperwork."
Surprise.
Yep. And he was like, "Oh, okay." And there was the other founder was with us, and so both of them, their heart for this is, in my opinion, is at times unmatched.
Wow.
Their willingness and how far they're willing to go. And keep in mind, we had already been doing the things that we do at Just Hope before we even organized all of this.
Got to this point, yeah. So you're going to have to let our listening audience know pretty soon what it is you do there, because they're on the edge of their seat now.
Yes.
The paperwork is filed. The men are there.
Yep.
Let's go.
And so it took off from there, and and it grew a lot faster than I thought. Like, we're established April 30th of last year, and we're already all the way to this point. And I got laid off and lost my job, and so I just threw my entire self into this,
right,
as well as they did. And so what we do at Just Hope is we've taken our lived experience and everything we've been through. We've been through homelessness,
justice impact,
addiction, all of it. And
I want to also mental health issues, some very hard background things that happen to you without your consent.
Yep.
So you have all those different pieces of that puzzle, right?
And we're all coming from different cultural backgrounds.
Can you name some of those cultural backgrounds just so that people get an idea?
I'm Native American and Hispanic.
Okay.
One of the founders is also Native American. We have an individual who is part of the LGBTQ community that works with us.
Nice.
So we open it up to anybody. Doesn't matter.
Across the board.
Across the board.
Sweet.
If you have a heart for it, you come in. If you want to volunteer, or at some point we'll be hiring people on. We're willing to work with anybody.
Yeah. What do you do in the community? What's like your essence?
So we go out into the encampments. So we hold a outreach event every other week.
Okay.
But we also have an outreach coordinator and our outreach director. Our outreach coordinator goes out daily.
Okay.
Right. He'll show up at the office, pick up water, pick up clothes, pick up naloxone, any test strips, anything like that. If we have food, and he brings it with him, and he'll bring it to certain encampments, and then he'll just drive around, sometimes around the Dale University area. Where you see people flying signs, and there's a huge, there's
flying signs. Is that the sign holders?
Sign holders.
Flying signs. I've not heard that term, so good to know. Flying
yes.
signs. Okay.
And so he'll bring the supplies to them.
Nice.
It doesn't have to be a group or an encampment. It could be a single individual. If he sees them, he'll drop some supplies off with them. He also goes out to other organizations, helps them pack boxes, that go out to other organizations to provide supplies. So we partner with like You Matter, and we'll partner with like TCRP and their crew, Twin Cities Recovery Project. And so we make sure our presence is known. We are on Rice Street, right off of Rice and University in St. Paul. We have a drop-in center. If somebody stops, they can ring the doorbell. We'll bring them up. We have clothing, food that they can pick from, other supplies such as hygiene. And anybody can drop in. We're open from 9 in the morning till 9:45 at night, 7 days a week.
And they don't have to necessarily be sober. They don't
No.
necessarily have to not be using substances.
No.
They can kind of come in as they are,
Yes.
and just know that you're a safe place to go.
Yes. And so we'll provide services to anybody who needs it.
Nice.
I know that some organizations, they bill and everything like that. It doesn't matter if you have insurance or not. If you show
Okay.
up and you need our help, we're going to help you.
Right? Nice.
We've gotten call at 4 in the morning where we've brought somebody to detox.
Wow. How is your funding working? Like, how do you get these supplies? How does that work? Because I think there's a lot of people out there that hear about a wonderful organization like this, and I know you get a lot of donations of
We
things,
do.
and, an immense amount of donations.
Yeah.
But then, how do you pay the rent? I mean, are you grant funded? Are you donations? How does that part work? Just simply, don't go into the weeds too much.
So our food and clothing we get donated from other people.
Nice.
The funding, the majority of it is coming out of pocket.
Oh wow.
To pay the rent, and then we do get some funding. When we do a fundraiser, we'll do a
Nice.
raffle, and some of the money that comes in helps
Okay.
pay for some of the stuff. But
Okay.
the majority is
Is just grassroots, literally.
Yep, out of
literally.
pocket.
Wow. Yeah, and that's a dedication to the community, is
Yeah.
what that is, and that's amazing. So, do you work only in the St. Paul area? Do you go into Minneapolis at all? Do you,
We'll
cross
go-
the river?
Yeah, we do. We do. So when we do our outreach events, we do every other. So one event will be for St. Paul, the next event will be for Minneapolis. But we're willing to go wherever
And
we're
define
needed.
an event. What does that look like?
So our outreach event, people will. So we hold one on Saturday. People come in. We leave out at 1:00.
People like volunteers.
Come in, and anybody who's new, we'll train them ahead of time. Let them know, hey, this is what you'll see. This is what's, the potential dangers.
Okay.
Stick with your point person so that we can make sure that everybody's safe.
Okay.
And then, so people come in and they help us pack lunches. We do sandwiches, or we'll grill. Help us pack up the supplies, then we load up, and then everybody goes down to whatever encampment they've chosen to go to for the day.
Okay. So you literally put together an entire crew of people
Yep.
to and they're all volunteers,
All
right?
volunteers.
All volunteers. So, y'all, I want you to hear that. This is a group of people that care so much about people who are even struggling in their substance use. What do you call sign flyers? Flyers? What'd you call
Flying signs.
Flying
yeah.
signs. We all see those flying signs on every corner here and there, and there's a lot of what do I want to say? Appropriate assumptions that are made, but then there's a lot of inappropriate assumptions that are made.
Yes.
And some people are definitely altered in their state, and we have to know that addiction is a disease. And when we see people that are in an altered state, many people aren't like, wow, this is how I wanted my life to turn out.
Yeah.
I think if you go back in your story and you tell, where did you come from? What was your learning as a young man, as a child, as a young man? There are circumstances that some people cannot break out of, that you were stuck in for a very long time. And I think that's what's important to remember about those people who are out there with their signs or in an encampment. These are not people that wake up at 13 years old and go, I want to be a drug addict, because I think that's an awesome thing to do. There's a life that goes on in a lot of people, myself included. Hard childhood, circumstances that didn't make any sense to me. So how did I get away from it? I drank.
Yep.
I drank for 23 years. I just wasn't ready to give that bad boy up, because it was the only way that I could just quiet the mind, quiet the soul a little bit. So you have a bunch of volunteers that are going out to these places that there is some risk to it if you aren't careful.
Yeah.
And you know what the risks are and you know what to do. So you go out. How many people do you encounter? I mean, if you were to throw a number at it in an outreach that you do?
I guess it depends on where we're at. I could say, at the biggest one we go to, it could be upwards to 100.
100 folks.
Yeah.
Imagine 100 people that are being impacted by people that don't judge them, care about them, give them some necessities to sustain life.
Yes.
Give them an opportunity to have somebody actually see them. I'm using my little fingers at our eyeballs here, to be seen. And I think that's what we forget. And a lot of people that are flying those signs, they don't feel seen at all.
No.
What are some of what's a couple of the stories that maybe you've heard, and maybe there's a success story or two that you can let people know about? As we sit in radio silence.
I would say we had an individual, sometimes it takes a couple days,
Sure.
When they have an idea that they want, they want to change their life, and sometimes it doesn't always work out.
No.
And our outreach director had a guy who was calling him consistently, like, hey, you can come get me today. And then the next day, no.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you can come get me today. No, well, I got to do this. And, and most people would have given up, after the sixth time. And, I guess on the seventh time, the guy was like, all right, I'm finally ready. And he went down there, and this individual had a generator and all his tools and all these other things. And he loaded them up, and he brought them all the way back to the office. We stored his stuff, and he got him into detox.
Wow.
And there was of course, there's a few hiccups, and he had to go back to detox. And then our outreach director talked to him while he was in jail and everything like that, and kind of walked with him the entire way. And so. And
is he successful in his life, or more successful?
More successful.
There we go. And I think that's the important part. You just nailed it, Joshua. And that is, when we meet people, they're not necessarily ready to roll on day one, or meeting number 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. Because number one, the thing that we talk about at Minnesota Recovery Connection with peer-to-peer work and just being involved with people is it's trust first.
Yes.
Trust is the key component, because you can come and give them all the food they want, but if your intentions are not honorable and you don't want to see them succeed, they can read that like a book. They read us better than we can read ourselves.
Yes.
Am I right on that one?
So I had somebody ask me the other day, aren't you guys just enabling them by continuously going down there? And the trust part is exactly what it is. And I explained to them, these individuals have had. There are hundreds of organizations that have probably tried to talk to them, right? And then with everything that's going on, with different organizations not really doing what they're supposed to be doing to help the community, they've lost trust, right? And so us continuing to go down there and show face and showing that we're not stopping and we're not giving up is showing that we are consistent and that they can trust that we're going to show up when we say we're going to show up. Right. And at some point, there might be that one individual who's like, you know what? Let me get the resources and the help that you've been trying to give me this entire time.
Yeah, that day comes.
Yep. Yeah, because like you said, they know.
They know. Right? They can read.
Yes.
BS, we'll call it, and in sincerity, and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do to help those people.
Yeah.
And that's, there are people. These
Yeah.
are our people. We may look different, we might sound different. We're about ready to take another break. Joshua, wow. You're doing amazing work. This is just awesome. So thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, a Recovery Revolution here on AM 950, the Progressive Radio Station, brought to you by Minnesota Recovery Connection. My name is Caddy Frink. I am your host. When we come back from break, we're going to just delve in a little bit more. Okay. Thank you for listening.
And this house needs love in it, 'cause without it there's no home. And there's one thing that I've learned through this year of being.
I always do this like, no, I beat it to the punch. Hey, my name is Caddy. I'm here for Minnesota Recovery Connection at Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution with Joshua Fuss. I'm Caddy Frink, and he's Fuss, so we've got the F's going on, but not the bad ones. Joshua was just telling us about Just Hope and all the amazing work that you do. You were talking about a story where somebody finally began to trust you for showing up consistently, not just trying to BS anybody.
Yeah.
And, I live in Minneapolis, and I'm just wondering, are you at all going to the space off of Lake Street and 35W where the exit ramp is onto Lake Street? There's that whole corridor that is pretty much hot all the time. Have you ever been to that part of the cities?
I know our outreach team has.
Okay.
Our outreach director and our outreach coordinator have gone out there.
Yeah.
To bring help.
Yeah. Because that one's, I don't know in St. Paul if there's any place that has the magnitude of humans that are there. There probably is. Yeah, it's just, there is an epidemic of substance use disorder going on in this country right now. Somebody was outright in front of the cars, doing their substance of choice. And I was really kind of floored by just the overtness of it. I mean, just literally lighting up right in front of us or in front of me. And I was just like, that's somebody who's, to me, not a bad person, but I think it's fair to say somebody who's pretty broken.
Yeah.
Where they just don't have a filter anymore. They just need to stay in that state of, I don't want to be present anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what you see a fair amount of, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just kind of try to meet those people where they're at, give them the basic necessities, treat them like a human. I mean, I think that's the thing that's hard is when we see people that are struggling with substance use, we're seeing the outside shell. And I think your organization, Minnesota Recovery Connection, we try to see the person on the inside.
Yes.
And know that there is somebody in there, but they probably haven't been talked to, that inner person, in a long time. So what other organizations do you do your events with? Who do you partner with?
We partner with Coom Recovery. We'll actually be tabling at their event this Friday.
Yes, I'm going to it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see you there.
Yeah. Coom Recovery is a organization run by Yang Mua, and they serve predominantly the Hmong community.
Yes.
Which is so fantastic. And
Yeah.
each community needs to have a little love all of their own. Who else do you partner with?
We partner with Anything Helps. I've known Emmanuel for a while now.
Yeah.
Before I had even considered doing an RCO.
Okay.
So we partner with Emmanuel. We sent a few people over. He's trained a couple of the people who do peer support.
And so he's Anything Helps up in North Minneapolis on 39th and Fremont North. Yep.
Yep.
TCRP, I think, Twin Cities Recovery.
Twin Cities Recovery Project. We've gone out to a few outreaches with them. We did a pretty big one in St. Paul at a place called the Fish Hatchery. That's a pretty big encampment, and so let me think.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so
because those are like the hardcore kind of, you haven't necessarily partnered with Minnesota Recovery Connection. We kind of do very different things.
Yes.
So we're in partnership, but we do not partner together in terms of activities together. So in the interest of time, tell us what you're doing for Recovery Month. That is September. The color is purple. We've got all kinds of things that are going on. What's your Recovery Month look like in September?
So for Recovery Month, we're going to be at a couple events. One is Walk for Lives, which is an overdose awareness event that's coming up, and then we'll be at the Walk for Recovery,
of course.
And Just Hope will be doing the face painting there.
Ooh,
yeah. So
okay, I didn't know that.
we got volunteered from. I'm I'm close friends with the guys over at Amethyst.
Okay, so
Yes,
Ben
and-
Afquick.
Yes.
Yes.
And so Derek messaged me and he was like, "Hey, is it okay if I volunteer you to do face painting?" I'm like, "Absolutely."
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
good to know that. Yeah.
Yep. And so we'll be at the Walk for Recovery.
Sweet.
So we'll be participating in those events, and then,
Nice.
of course, doing our outreach, encouraging other
Yeah.
people. We also hold a few support groups. We're hoping to bring more people in at our
Okay.
organization.
Do you do support groups at your office?
Yes.
Is that what you do them? And are they all recovery meetings, or what do you?
So Thursday nights, which is tonight,
Tonight.
at 7 p.m. at 550 Rice Street in St. Paul, we have a recovery support group. It's for any type of recovery, all pathways.
Nice.
Not 12-step or anything.
Okay. Sweet.
And then we have a reentry support group for individuals who are coming out of incarceration that need help getting resources.
When is that one?
On Wednesdays at 7 p.m.
Nice.
Yes. And so,
Yeah, meeting that community, having an invested. I adore the men and women that I've met who I've been able to meet that are coming out of that. They need this reentry community.
Yes.
They need to have that place where they can like touch base and not feel like they're all alone, because
Yep.
that is a bugaboo.
yes.
So I'm going to just talk about a little bit of Minnesota Recovery Connections. We have the Walk for Recovery, as you mentioned. That is on September 13th from 10 to 3 at the state capitol. We'd love you all to show up, allies and people in recovery, people that just want to be around. We've got like 9 food trucks. We've got face painting. Thank you very much. We've got a bounce house. We've got music. We've got a DJ and about 3 different bands. We've got a salsa band and 2 other bands that are playing. We'll have our huge photograph that we take of the recovery community and everybody there on the stairs of the state capitol. We have our pet zone, so we'll have some critters that are there to support us.
Ben Afquick.
Ben Afquick will be there with the man with the duck. It's so funny. Then we also have a Twins game, which takes place on September 16th. It's the Twins versus the Yankees, so it should be a good game. I know, look at those eyes. Yeah, it should be a good game. Make sure you get a ticket. We'll have them for sale at the Walk for Recovery, so anybody, they can go onto our website and buy them, but they can also buy the actual live paper ticket at the Walk for Recovery for anybody who's interested. So that takes place, I think the game is at 6:40 on the 16th of September, and then we have our gratitude breakfast, which is at the end of the month, and if I could remember the date, I think it's the last day of the month of September, and that's something that we do with Augsburg College because they have a big sober community within their college, which is really great. So, and all of the organizations around the state of Minnesota that are involved in the recovery communities have events going on in September. And this is a great, I was just talking to Celie Dudley. Many people have heard me mention her name about 1,000 times from Recovery Alliance Duluth. They have their event on the weekend after ours. I believe it's the 20th or the 21st up in Duluth. They're going to be having an event. So all these recovery community organizations and treatment organizations all participate. Even some of the DOCs. Do you know that they do walks in the DOC sometimes?
I did not.
Yeah, they will do. Like, I know Faribault has done it, Faribault Prison down in Faribault. And I believe Moose Lake has done a walk that they do for Recovery Month because there's a lot of people participating in recovery in those communities, as you well know.
Yeah.
So these are great places for people who are in recovery, people who love people who are looking for recovery that have achieved that. We also honor people who have lost individuals to their substance use disorder.
Yeah.
Because that's a reality, sadly. And so we just want to pull together people that care about people who just need some love and support.
Yes.
You know, that's kind of the name of the game. So, Joshua, what's a parting word you have for people that are listening to this show? He's flummoxed.
I am.
So what I have said is that the people that are struggling, we love you. The people that love the people that we are struggling, love them up. I think love is the cure-all, care is the cure-all, and don't try to push anybody in any direction. What would you add to that?
I mean, I think you said it best. I mean,
what do you see in your organization that is like the key component? When you are working with people, what is the key component to just getting them coming back? Doesn't matter for recovery or not for sobriety.
just showing up and being present. And so we all share the same sentiment across our organization, and that's our job, is to save your life.
There you go.
And we're going to do whatever we need to do to make that happen. Right. And so there was people in our lives that took the opportunity to see something in us and extend their hand out, and we do the same thing.
Nice.
That's what we're here for.
Saving people's lives.
Yes.
Let's do a knuckle bunch on that one. That was beautiful. Well, thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery Revolution. Say goodbye, Joshua.
Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, love that voice. It's a nice voice. Please have a wonderful day. Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to those who have donated to Minnesota Recovery Connection for Redefining Recovery Revolution. You are all amazing. You're all wonderful. I appreciate every single person and those who are caring for the people that can't care for themselves. Thank you.